Well, good morning. Let me try that again. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor.
I come before you today with mixed emotions to announce that IMPD Chief Troy Riggs will be stepping down from his post at the end of this year to pursue other opportunities. I first had the honor of working alongside then Public Safety Director Riggs when I served as the federal prosecutor. And over the last 3 years, we have forged a close relationship around our shared commitment to data-driven law enforcement, public safety innovation, and the importance of forging stronger bonds between the police department and our community. For the last year, Chief Riggs has served admirably as we worked to return IMPD to community-based policing, as we worked to focus resources on those neighborhoods most in need, and most recently, as the Chief and his staff have answered my call to the law enforcement community to embrace what I believe is a bold plan that will fundamentally overhaul our criminal justice system. On behalf of a grateful city, I want to thank Chief Riggs for his service. But I am also mindful that today's announcement does not simply affect our city, it also means big changes for Troy and his family. So while there is no doubt that the Chief leaves behind big boots to fill, I know that he and his family are excited to begin a new chapter of their lives. I know that many will have questions as to the selection of a new chief, and I am here to announce that that process begins this morning. I have called a meeting of the full IMPD command staff for this afternoon, and I will be working with department leadership to put in place a transition plan. This will be a smooth transition as we focus on the end of the year. In the coming days, I will make additional announcements as to the process and the timeline for this important decision. And I look forward to working with President Maggie Lewis, with Minority Leader Michael McQuillan, Sheriff John Layton, Prosecutor Terry Curry, and other community leaders as we make these changes. It is indeed a day of mixed emotion, and I give to you now the police chief for IMPD for at least a few more weeks, Troy Riggs.
Thank you, Boss. Well, thank you. This is certainly a tough day for me personally and professionally, but I will say this. I want to thank the men and women of public safety, IMPD in particular, for the work that they do. You know, I've been here for 4 years, and I thank God for this opportunity. It has been the highlight of my professional career. And it is tough to leave, but I want to say this. I leave with no animosity, only hope and promise for what this city is going to accomplish in the future under the mayor's leadership. I have thoroughly enjoyed working for you, Mr. Mayor. I've thoroughly enjoyed your vision, implementing that vision, and look forward to assisting you in the future. I told the mayor that with me leaving doesn't mean completely goodbye, that I'm always willing to volunteer time and effort to the city, and I've been told I may regret making that statement, but I'd simply and I sincerely mean that. The vision that he has for the city is a good one. If you look at the massive change that IMPD has undergone this year, I can tell you that I can find no other police department nationally that is even close to us in the change. It's been a tough year, but at the end of the day, we are faring better than many of our neighbors, many of our friends, and that's why they're coming here at Indianapolis. But that work has to continue. We have to continue with strong law enforcement. We have to continue with services. And I know that with the mayor's leadership and the leadership of IMPD, and more importantly, the men and women of the police department and the citizens, that work is going to continue. That's why I can step down at this point. I will also say, on a personal, because I think my employees need to know and the public needs to understand, is this was a decision that I had to make, and something that I think the mayor knew when we talked last December that this could be a reality. But I have to think about the future of my family, the financial future, and that is something that I have looked upon and sought counsel, and certainly going to be pursuing some opportunities. But let me be clear, the opportunities that I have been afforded across this nation are only because of the work that's been done here, and specifically the work that's been done the last year here within IMPD. And I thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Questions?
Chief, have you made a dent in a war on crime since you returned to the office a year ago?
Well, one of the things I want to point out is everybody wants a simple answer to that, and there's no simple answer. The answer is there has been substantial work that's been done, but we're fighting an uphill battle. The mayor inherited, and I inherited within our IMPD budget, a budget that was incomplete. We have rectified that. The mayor has fulfilled his commitment to the citizens to make sure we have a fully funded budget. We also inherited a police department that had fewer officers than it had in 2015. So we've made some substantial changes. We've been much more efficient and effective. As a result, we do have goals and objectives now that were lacking before. We have ComStat that's on the way, that's computer generated for crime fighting for 2017. We have partners that are going to put in tens of millions of dollars in some of our highest crime areas because of the work of IMPD and the data. And when you look at the community policing process that we have implemented in the 15 beats, the highest crime areas of our community, with our aggressive enforcement, the sweeps that we have accomplished, crime rates in those areas proves that that model of policing works, with homicides down 10% and shootings down 7% in those areas. The trouble is we don't have enough resources or people to expand that, but because of the mayor's long-term plan, those areas will be expanded and that success will continue. So I think we've made a dent. It's just a dent, but we want to drive a hole through this, and one way to do that is not only enforce, but also offer those services. And that announcement the mayor had last week is going to go a long way in making sure that we get some relief for our officers and relief for the city.
All right, Chief, why are you leaving? This is a three-part question. Why are you leaving? Who lured you away? And
what was the second one? Why am I leaving? And
who lured you away?
okay.
And are you leaving because you can make more money?
At the end of the day, financial considerations are certainly that. And it's something I have to look at. I just turned 50, and I've been very honest about that. It does not mean, but I will say this, the likelihood of me being involved in policing at this point further, I think my wife and I have made a decision that even though we have opportunities, and you're going to hear some of those opportunities most likely from other cities, right now I am not looking at any other police chief's job. This is the finest police department in America. It has the best people, and give me a second. We have the best people, and I'll end my policing career here.
This question is for Mayor Hogsett. Are you concerned about attracting top-level talent as Chief Riggs with the current salary of the chief?
Well, those are always concerns. The truth is that the police chief here in Indianapolis is paid relatively, in comparison to other cities similarly sized, a bit lower, if not considerably lower. But as the chief has indicated, it is the best police department, I believe, in any similarly sized city. It's a great opportunity for not only people who are currently on the IMPD force, but perhaps outside of it, to take consideration. And I have no doubt that while, as I indicated, when Troy Riggs leaves, he'll leave big boots to fill. We'll be able to fill them, and fill them every bit as good, if not, hopefully, better than Troy was able to do. I think that the progress of our police department is critical to the long-term health and well-being of our city. I know that Troy is dedicated to that, in helping in that regard, and I certainly, as mayor, have a vested interest in continuing that progress.
Mayor, are you looking at going within the department for a new chief, or outside the department, or all options on the table?
Yeah, Abdul, I indicated that I was going to talk about process, and those announcements are forthcoming.
Mayor, are you concerned? Would this still be Chief Riggs' job if you wanted it?
Yeah, this is a decision that the chief has made, as he's indicated, and I'll let him elaborate, but it's a decision that he has made, as I understand it, because of personal considerations for long-term well-being of his family, and I respect that. If it were not for that, Chief Troy Riggs would be leading us into 2017.
And I'll just say this, let's not get bogged down on the pay too much. I mean, the pay is what it is in the state of Indiana. It's something that is well known throughout the country. That's one reason people come to Indiana, to take talent, and we've lost some talent before. So that's not the mayor's fault. That's just a structure. It may change over time. Maybe this will give the impetus to change. And Steve, I want to go back and answer your question without being as emotional. You know, it's 27 years I've done this, and for me to look at other police departments, and I've been called by some major police departments, some that have some very fundamental issues. The reason I chose not to go back into policing is I've done 27 years in public safety. I have worked now for 4 different police departments. I can't think of another police department I'd rather be chief of. So you got me again. Thank you all.
Well, along those lines, I want to ask, I know you touched on it a little bit, but what to you are the biggest highlights of what you've been able to accomplish here?
Well, you know, there's a lot that I can point to. I think we can talk about some of the big budget issues that we fixed, the $10 million saved, the stopping the bleeding, so to speak, on the police department. I don't know if you realize, at one time we were getting ready to dump below 1,500 police officers, which is dramatically too low. And we worked very hard, and we took that savings and put it in. And then with the mayor coming on board and being able to use this data, and not only seeing us work with community to arrest individuals in the community, but also to offer services to just about the same amount of people we arrested. That's unprecedented, and that's because of the mayor's leadership. But if I had to point one thing, I think it's restoring morale. It's been tough. It's been tough to be a police officer. It's been tough to be a police officer in this city and elsewhere, and they deserve a great deal of credit.
Mayor, have you reached out to community leaders to tell them, to reassure them that the momentum in public safety in Indianapolis will not be deterred with the departure of Chief Riggs?
Yeah, I will be doing that to the better part of today. I hope to meet later today, not only with the IMPD command staff along with Chief Riggs, but also with council leadership, with the sheriff, John Layton, and our prosecutor, Terry Curry, and the community as a whole. And I'll be doing that over the next few days, if not the next few weeks. Look, thanks to Troy Riggs and his command staff and the men and women of IMPD, while we have our fair share of challenges in the public safety arena, they have done an outstanding job of creating momentum that I think will propel us into the future with confidence, and I share that confidence, and I think the community shares that confidence in no small measure because of the leadership at IMPD.
Mayor, leadership is extremely looking for that new chief. Will you push for that same level of transparency that Riggs has shared with us during this campaign?
Yeah, certainly. I think that openness and transparency, frankly, across the board, has been a hallmark of this administration, whether it be in public safety, whether it be in the ordinance that was passed earlier this year that toughens our ethics laws. So openness, transparency will continue to be a critical component to public safety here in the city of Indianapolis.
Yeah, Riggs has put together a very good command staff that I've seen since I've been here in more than a decade. Any concerns that, you know, with the new chief coming in, that the command staff will do another turnover, and obviously that has an impact on morale and everything else?
Well, that's part of the reason why we're meeting with the command staff this afternoon, to answer their questions, to reassure them that the momentum will continue. Obviously, there will be a new chief at some point, sooner hopefully rather than later, as soon as Troy has made decisions that impact he and his family. But yeah, it's an outstanding command staff. So we'll be meeting with them this afternoon, and I'll take that opportunity to reassure them that we're going to continue to make progress here in the city of Indianapolis.
Mayor, when you made your announcement of Chief Riggs as the next chief last December, you said that Indy was in a public safety crisis. Talk about the challenges we've had, but also the progress we've made under Chief Riggs. Are we still in that public safety crisis now?
Yeah, I mean, around the country, we have seen this year alone an exponential rise in the level of homicides, gun violence, you know, and frankly, any homicide is unacceptable. One homicide is unacceptable for any community. The reality is we still have throughout the city a level of gun violence that both the chief and I know that IMPD finds unacceptable. So we're going to continue to focus on making sure that our community and its neighborhoods are safer and more peaceful.
Chief, is there anything that you wish you were able to get to, you know, during either this time around as chief or perhaps your last go-around?
Just a little bit more time. I mean, I think that we're on the right track. It takes time. And remember what the mayor and I said January the 2nd, is that things could get worse before they get better. The good news is for us in Indianapolis, they haven't really gotten worse. And I can say the reason it hasn't is because of the hard work of our police officers, and let's not forget the social service partners. I mean, name another city where you have a group like Gleaners feeding 100,000 people 600,000 meals in our high crime areas. There's a reason crime's down in those areas, and it's because of people like Gleaners and Red Cross and others that have stepped up, other departments. There's a model that'll work forward. I would love to see that to its fruition. But let me just say this, there'll be, anytime a leader steps down, there's concern about, will the progress continue? The progress will continue. We have some of the finest men and women that this nation has to offer, and that's not just me saying that. I think you've seen my heart and heard my heart today. But that command staff that we have now is as strong as any command staff that I've ever had work for me or that I've been a part of. I have no doubt in the future of Indianapolis and the future success of the mayor. If I did, I would not have stepped down, even with some of the opportunities I have.
So, Chief, you never did, I don't think, answer the question. What is your next job going to be? Do you have something lined up?
I have some offers on the table, but the announcement on where I go and what I'll do is someone else's announcement, and that will take place sometime early next year.
Well, you mentioned, I heard you say education. I mean, is this an out-of-town or out-of-state?
Excuse me, my desire is to stay in, I'm sorry, I got a little bit of a cold. My desire is to stay in Indianapolis. My wife and I moved to Indianapolis because we wanted to make this home, and this is where we want to stay. I will say this, is we intend on staying here a long time and being good citizens and to be involved in those social causes we believe in. But I will have to say, with one caveat, there may be some times in the middle of winter I may travel south for a couple weeks now for vacation that I haven't been able to do in the past.
Mayor, are you going to have an interim chief, and how long do you intend to have that interim chief? And is there anyone on the short list of being a permanent chief?
Yeah, I'm going to be making announcements over the next couple of days about the process. I do want to talk to the command staff first, and then my partners, as I mentioned, before any announcements of process are made. So those will be forthcoming, and as I said, I hope to be making those announcements sooner rather than later.
And when is this effective? What's the last day?
Well, we're going to continue to talk about that as the chief considers the opportunities that he has available to him. We are both committed and will convey to the command staff that this transition be as smooth as it possibly can be. It's obviously coming over the holidays, so that may stretch it out a little bit further, but I think, as the chief mentioned, we are both looking toward making final changes, perhaps by the 1st of January.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.